Visiting an intriguing neighborhood full of deserted palaces overlooking the river marking the border between Ukraine and Moldova, exploring a 500-year-old fortress, discovering the capital of the least visited country in Europe, it's all possible in Moldova. Good morning, it's been a while, but I'm traveling again. Today I'm in Moldova, specifically in the capital Chișinău, with the beautiful cathedral behind me in the Cathedral Park, which is not that busy because it's just a Thursday morning. There are actually a lot of birds here. There are more birds than people here. I arrived here in Chișinău, the capital of Moldova, last night, very late at night. I went to my Airbnb and this morning I woke up with this view. Well, actually I obviously saw last night that this cathedral was here, but I didn't realize that I could see it from my window. I actually arrived so late at night last night that the restaurants were closed. I was really hoping to experience some local dish from Moldova, but the only thing that I could find that was open was a 24/7 restaurant that's smack in the center here next to the cathedral. And it was like a 24/7 pizza place, and I was like, well, I just need the calories. It was actually very nice. I don't know, the local fast food here left a good impression on me. It's actually very beautiful here. Look at that. I believe I'm basically in the most beautiful place of the center. They're working on things here, not sure what they're doing. Maybe there's some event going on soon. And this is the Moldovan, the Chișinău Triumphal Arch. Similar to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, or if you've seen my videos, the similar structure in the capital of Kazakhstan, Astana. This one is way tinier though. It's beautiful. I believe it was built in the 1840s, 30s or 40s. Behind there, a nice communist Soviet type architecture. It seems like some kind of government building. I'm very intrigued by all the communist Soviet type buildings. You can already see the contrast. I think most of this country and most of the city actually looks more like that and less like this behind me. The first thing I need to do now is to exchange some money, because like I said, I arrived last night. I read about the bus from the airport, and the bus from the airport allegedly you could pay with card, but the card readers didn't work. Moldova's first impression on me is people are very nice, because there was a Moldovan guy who offered to pay the ticket for me, so that was very nice. Thank you. You're probably not watching, but thank you for that. The bus was only 6 Moldovan lei, which is like 30 euro cents. So the bus is not that expensive here, and there are a lot of buses going around, so it seems like it's a very good way to travel. Okay, so let's exchange some money now. Alright, I got myself some Moldovan money. The view from here is actually so nice. It's a really great apartment. Anyways, the plan today is to immediately leave Chișinău and come back here at the end of my trip in a few days to actually explore the city. Now, let's go to the bus station and see if I can find the bus all the way in the north of the country to the city of Soroca. Let's see if I can find a bus. Only a few minutes walk from the square with the nice cathedral and the nice buildings. It starts to deteriorate a bit. The city is small anyways, the city center is small, but I believe I'm still actually in the city center. So I figured, whilst I'm walking to the bus station, I tell you what's been going on, because I haven't uploaded on the channel for a while. I have been traveling actually, and I have even been traveling with the intent to film it. One second, I'm distracted because I see some kind of statue. Is this like a... It seems to be like some kind of music hall. Karol Schmidt, Chișinău, kind of mayor or something, I'm not sure. Not sure what he is. Primar, is that mayor in Moldova? I was going to say Moldovan or Moldovan, but actually a few years ago the Moldovan government even put in the constitution that the language is Romanian, because Moldovan is basically something made up by the Soviets who tried to make Moldovan an identity, whereas in actual fact Romanian speaking Moldovans, which is most of them, are basically Romanians, and the language is not that different. Anyways, distracted here. I did travel. Actually, 2 months ago, I was in the United States for the first time in my life. I started in Washington, D.C. and I even started filming. Also started filming in a park, just like I did here. But I didn't know what is something interesting that I could show you. So in the end, it just turned out to be one more trip for myself, and I didn't put it on YouTube. Anyways, this trip will be different. I will be filming. I think there will be some interesting stuff to see. But first, let's see if there is even a bus to Soroca, because I'm not sure. And if I can find a bus station, I'm also not sure. But I'm a little bit more sure of that. Let's see. So I've arrived in Soroca, all the way in the north of Moldova. And this river here, the Dniester, is actually the border between Moldova and Ukraine. So literally the other side of this river, which is like maybe 100 or 200 meters away, is Ukraine. So that village there is Ukraine. And at the moment of filming this video, Ukraine is still at war. So unfortunately I will not visit, but in peaceful times you could literally take a boat over this river. Everyone is looking at me because there's not really many tourists here. There is a famous fort, which is what I'm walking towards now, which is supposed to be the main tourist attraction here. But I believe this is not really tourist season, or there's just, I mean, there are not many tourists in Moldova anyways, because it's the least visited country in all of Europe. Another thing Soroca is famous for is that it's known as the Romani Capital, the Roma people. And you can't see it right now, but they're on the hill. There's a lot of buildings built by Romani people, but I'll come to that later. First, let's walk a little bit past this river, besides Ukraine, and see the fort. The fort, what was it called again? The Soroca Fort, obviously. I just checked into my hotel, which was one of the 2 hotels that I could find to book. I have to say the vibe here in Soroca is completely different compared to Chișinău. Chișinău is kind of a big city, relatively speaking. And whilst Soroca is technically a city, it feels more like a village to me. I have to say, it feels very peaceful here. It really doesn't feel like there's a war going on that side, but there is. Once you get close to the fort, everything becomes very nice. I didn't really show you the park behind there, but it wasn't pretty there. The second you go over here, which is close to the fort, it's all very pretty. They invested here. They're ready for tourists, clearly. There's no one here, except for a few local people who are just enjoying this actually very nice park. It's a big difference, the park where I just walked from, basically where my hotel is, towards the fort. And here it's like, it's really nice, it's really new, with a nice view of Ukraine. Let's see if this is the entrance. I'm not sure. It seems like it. Normally with these big tourist sites you just follow the masses to find the entrance, but now that's a bit hard. Now I see. The project is financed by the EU, it says on that sign. That explains why this is so nice compared to the rest, maybe. I think a lot of EU money went into this, yes, because also this is the entrance, and the signs next to the entrance actually have the European Union flag on it. So I think the EU invested a lot of money in this infrastructure. Now we just need the tourists to come. Let's have a look. So I just went in there, and then a lady came up to me and asked me for my ticket. To which I said, oh, I don't have a ticket. Can I buy one here? No, you have to go to the dedicated ticket booth 200 meters away, which is there. To me, this is kind of hilarious, because it really feels like one of those huge tourist sites, you know, where you don't want the people queuing there to buy their tickets, so you put like a ticket booth 100 meters away. But here, without the tourists, it feels a bit bizarre. Anyways, let's buy a ticket. Having bought my ticket for 30 lei, Moldovan lei, which is like €1.50. I have permission now to enter, to walk back and to enter the fort, hopefully. I mean, they make you work for it, you know. Luckily, there is still no queue. Let's see inside. What a success story. Got my ticket, got checked, and now I'm here with all the other 2 tourists in the Fort Soroca. It is actually a very nice building. It's not that big. It's not that big. With the ticket booth and how big everything around this is set up, I imagine that this building would be way bigger because it can't fit all the tourists that they're preparing for. Anyways, can we go inside? Oh, we can. This is kind of cool. And so, I guess from here, the Moldovans who had to defend the fort from, I guess, the Ukrainians or maybe the Ottomans would have looked out of these windows. Let's see, can you see Ukraine from here? Oh yes, you can see Ukraine from here. I mean, I have to say, it is in a very good condition. Maybe they restored parts of it. But anyways, it's very nice. Let's see if this is the same. Here, I can actually go all the way up. Wow. Okay, this is cool. An even better view of Ukraine. Over the Dniester river, you can see the Ukrainian village where in the past the invaders would have been preparing their army. And from here, the Moldovans or the Ottomans or the Russians could prepare for the invasion. Update, I'm now literally the only tourist left here, together with a nice lady who made sure I got a ticket. She did her work well. Actually, on the other side of the river, what I didn't see when I was downstairs is part of where you could take a boat between Ukraine and Moldova. Now, obviously, because of the war in Ukraine, you can't take that anymore. Maybe one day we can take it again. We have the Moldovan flag here, and I imagine because they paid for it, the EU flag right here. One of these rooms in the fort even is like a little church. I guess people can pray here. It is a very peaceful place, I have to say. I didn't expect that here. I mean, it is very nice to have a look at, but it's not that big, so you'll have seen everything in like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. Anyways, I would still say if you are somehow in Soroca for whatever reason, have a look. But I don't think that has the potential yet to really draw in all the tourists. Anyways, I already alluded to the fact that this city is also known as the capital of Romani people. And I read it has to do also with this, because in the building of this fort, a lot of Romani people were involved. And when Moldova became a Soviet republic, the Soviets didn't, let's just say, wanted to make sure that the Romani people, who were originally mostly nomadic people, stopped being nomadic. And because they were here anyways, a lot of Romani people just were kind of forced to, but stay here. But after the Soviet Union collapsed, a lot of Romani peoples went all over Europe to work, because there were more work opportunities. But they sent money back to their family in Soroca, which resulted in enormous houses and crazy architecture being built here on the hill. I'm gonna see if I can get closer to them. Let's have a look. You might be surprised to find an actual synagogue, a Jewish synagogue here in Soroca. But in fact, it's not that surprising, considering that only a few hundred years ago, more than half of the population here in Soroca was Jewish. And after the Romania, who collaborated with the Nazis, came in during Second World War, most Jews have either died or, if they were lucky, fled. So nowadays there are only like a few Jews left. So what you could now call the capital of the Roma people. I guess back then you could call being capital of the Jews of the region. Speaking of the Romani people, I'm currently going up the hill and I can already see some really interesting big buildings. Once again, mostly built with the money of the family of the Romani people working abroad, sending money here. Very interesting architecture, but it seems like completely abandoned. Look at the rooftop, it's very interesting. To me it seems like most of these houses so far actually seem to be deserted. So I imagine maybe the families lived there and then after a while the last person also decides to leave. And what are you gonna do with these crazy buildings? I guess you just desert them. I have to say, besides these interesting buildings, the view over Ukraine over there is also pretty nice from here. And if you look well, you can also see the roof of the fort. So from what I read about it, people are still living there, but now I'm walking here, everything seems deserted. So I'm wondering if that's outdated information maybe. Everyone is looking at me like I'm crazy. See, this is also weird architecture. It's not something you usually see in a house. So it gives me like abandoned theme park vibes. And the more you walk into this neighborhood, the crazier the buildings get. I feel like this place at night is very spooky because you have all these abandoned buildings. Some are indeed still lived in, it seems, because I do see some Roma people actually walking around here. Look at that one. If you look at that one, there's like one with a really big dome. It's crazy, these buildings are crazy. Oh no. Now I'm gonna have to walk past some angry old Roma people. I don't dare to film that, so I'll be back once I've walked past them. Alright, the old Roma people let me live, but they were looking angrily at me. They demanded money because I'm filming their neighborhood. And then I asked them why. This is just a public road. I don't see why I can't film here. I understand filming people's houses when they're living there, so I don't do that. I just film the houses that are clearly deserted, like that one, which is very clearly deserted. I've never been in a place like this. And it's huge too. I don't think I've ever felt this awkward filming, because I feel like all the people who do still live here are, you can't see this on film, but they're noticing. So I feel a little bit uneasy. Now there's another man looking angrily at me. Is he gonna demand payment for filming this house? Maybe he still lives in it, you never know. And now he walks back. Oh shit. I feel like it's time to leave. Well, maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but I don't trust this. Okay, let's get out of here. Alright. Just leaving the neighborhood now. It's like I'm in some kind of rubbish. I didn't want to go back the way I came because I really didn't feel easy there. The way I came, there was also a lot of stray dogs. I didn't want to have to go back to Chișinău to get a rabies vaccine. Anyways, they didn't bite me. I'm happy with that. And here we have a beautiful view of some rubbish. No, I mean, what's behind there. So just ignore the rubbish and it's still a beautiful view. That building in the back was really crazy with the horse statue. It's like a theater, but it's just a house. I really didn't feel easy there. I don't know what was happening, because at one point, you know, everyone was staring at me. People were coming there and they really didn't like my camera. By the way, I'm actually not out of the neighborhood. Okay, I'm back down. I feel so much better now. That was not great. I really didn't feel safe. I have to credit that one guy up there who was actually nice, well, at least seemed nice. He was just like, hey, he even greeted me. But basically everyone else there, either at best, oh wow, this is a nice square, let's go there. At best looked at me like, you know, I was really doing something wrong there. And at worst were like just actually really angry. They were angry. Maybe I'm making things up in my mind. I'd rather not find out if I'm right. Let's see, what's this square? We have Stefan. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that's on the money. And what else is there to do here? I don't know. It's kind of like your typical Soviet square, except for there's no Lenin statue, but Stefan. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly who Stefan is. It must be some famous person who lived in this region, I guess, or in Moldova. I have to say, if you go to Soroca, I would advise to go there, because it's so interesting. Those buildings on the top of that hill, they're very interesting. I've never seen or even heard about something like that anywhere else, so it's unique. Just don't go there alone, maybe. I was the only person there, and furthermore, maybe don't take a big camera. You're gonna get attention and they don't seem too happy with it. It's interesting to see, at least. Now, let me just find some food, because I need to eat and drink something now. Whew. After having some food, actually a Greek restaurant here, of all places. Come back to the hotel to have a little bit of a rest after that kind of crazy afternoon. I think I saw everything that Soroca has to offer. It's really a tiny city. It doesn't really feel like a city. It's mostly just stray dogs and parks like these. Tomorrow, I'm actually gonna cross this river, but not to Ukraine, but to Transnistria, which is an unrecognized country. It's recognized as part of Moldova, but you have to pass a border crossing and customs, and de facto it's another country. You will see that in the next video. But after that, I'll be back to Chișinău for the next part of the Moldova video. See you in Chișinău. Alright, I made it back to Chișinău, and outside of Chișinău is like this relatively big lake with this park next to it. I need to relax a bit after the last few days. I'm ending the video here. I didn't spend that much time in Chișinău because I immediately went first up north to Soroca and then into Transnistria, and then I went back here, so I only spent basically a day here. I think Chișinău is actually a beautiful city, so worth exploring. Subscribe, like, leave a comment if you liked the video, or if you didn't like it, just leave a comment. And see you in the next one. Bye.